And in fact, you were investigated for that. Do you recall that?
Not for posting. Not for posting. I did that after I was terminated.
Okay. No, I understand.
I mean, they outed me out. They kicked me out the union because I made a complaint against Sergeant Gladney. So I was doing that to seek help, counsel, people that can help. I didn't have any resources to fix this wrongful termination. It was wrong. They know they was wrong, and I know they feel bad deep down inside, just like James Novotny did the day he walked me out. He said he wasn't present when I got walked out. He was.
Well, and we'll get to that. In fact, now sounds like a good time. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead just a second, but you got you were ultimately terminated and walked out of the sheriff's department, right?
Correct.
Okay, how did that happen?
So September 16th, I seen James Novotny in the captain's office with Captain Hodell a whole hour before I got walked. So I knew something was about to happen. I'm like, oh, what's going on? He was in there the whole time. Then shortly after he left that meeting with him, he was in there the whole time talking.
He, being Captain Novotny, is talking with
Captain Hodell. I mean, Holton.
Holton. Okay.
Yes. And I seen him in there because I came to the office briefly to speak with another, I think, Lieutenant Lester. And when she was talking to me or whatever, I seen him, and then I went up there several times because I used to be over jury management, and me and Deputy Tim Brown used to walk around and
Were you curious about what was going on?
Yeah, I was definitely curious. I'm like, I ain't never seen internal affairs in here this long. So obviously it was a plan. Now that I noticed, I got walked right after it. So next, after that meeting, I was walked to internal affairs by Captain Holton. They took all my equipment and everything, and I let them know then. Sawchuck was there, and I said, Sawchuck, you wrong. You've been my transgressor this long. You've been racist against me this long. They don't got that document on the interactions we had when I got walked. I definitely let them know again about my race complaints.
And if I can just pause there was when you were walked out, were you walked out by armed officers?
The deputies, yes.
Deputies, okay. And
I was walked out only by Captain Holton, but during the internal affairs is where I had to, the same people that work internal affairs. It wasn't nobody extra. It was just the people that work internal affairs was up there.
Were they wearing body cameras?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But generally speaking, do deputies wear body cameras while on duty?
Only if there's an active scene. If you're having interactions with citizens or if there's some kind of police investigation going on.
Okay. So your body camera wasn't activated then?
No, I turned over everything I had.
Okay. And at that time, you had complaints in your office and other documents in your office. Is that right?
In my office?
Did you have did you lose access to any of your complaints after you were walked out?
Yeah, they denied me from using the emails because everything that I had made complaints about, I was emailing. I kept in a bunch of folders in my profile. So things just like this, how you can able to log on. I had folders in my employee's name that was pertinent to this case. I had emails that looked like during discovery, where the emails that I sent to myself.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't see any of that during the discovery.
And you asked for those emails and didn't get them?
Correct.
Okay. And you asked for your personnel files and didn't get those?
Correct.
Okay.
Novotny was standing at the door when Hodell escorted me out, and he looked sad. He looked as if, I don't want to say he shit him himself. He seen me and we had a small talk. And I said, man, that's wrong, man, how you, so you gonna really, you really believe I did that? He said, no, I don't think you sexually harassed the lady. He said, but, it was not up to me. He said, if it was up to me, you would be here in those lines. So he letting me know he automatically blaming the higher command staff. So he was ordered to write that bogus report, that bogus sexual harassment case.
Okay, and you believe that he didn't, based on his comments, that he didn't actually believe the documents that he signed?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct. And he can testify to that. He can hear me loud and clear. At that door, when he walked out, we had a small talk right there.
And when you were deprived of representation by the union, were you able to get alternative representation?
No, but I wasn't.
Okay.
And Smoot knew that. They gave me a short deadline. It was a Friday. He called me. He did call. He called me several times, and then even when I told him I didn't, he said, "Well, you know what? I can't go beyond Tuesday." Um,
So how many days did they give? They said they give you an extension, right?
a small extension. It wasn't long, but
Did they give you any other extension?
not after that final Tuesday. Nope.
How about the PRB? Did they ever give you any time to get an attorney?
Um, did we have a pre-hearing on it? I'm trying to remember. I believe they did. They said it out once, but when I got to the hearing, they stated that they wouldn't give me no more time, and I was like, "Can I get more time to do that?" They denied my me finding representation.
Okay.
So I went through that hearing by myself.
And you didn't find an attorney until after that hearing, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that was due in part to the union's refusal to represent you.
Correct.
Okay.
And that board is white. And Gladney, he failed to mention that the board that the members on that board, I also had issues with, like Deputy Robert Warzala. He was part of when Byers was hosting roll call, and the two deputies tried to attack me and come at me hostile, and Byers didn't document it or do anything. He was a part of that board. So of course, he getting people that don't already like me to vote against me. And Gladney was the one who's signing over my checks to me. Like, how's my transgressor, the one I'm making the complaint against, and signing over and sending me back my checks from the union? So it was like all intimidation tactics.
Okay. And do you believe that Mr. Smoot was aware of the fact that the union was refusing to represent you?
Oh yeah, he was definitely aware. He was definitely aware.
Okay. Why do you believe that?
Because if you listen to the recordings, you can hear him. I told him, and then he also said he reached out, and we won't be no representation for me, so he said, I understand you don't got it, I'm gonna give you to a certain time and then you can get it, but the timelines and the time wasn't long enough for me to obtain no attorney. You called me on a Friday and you expect me to find an attorney over the weekend, which most attorney offices are closed on the weekend. So I really got this Monday to look for somebody.
Okay. So you got a 24-hour extension.
After the final time, he did, but they wasn't long at all.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't.
As much information as I had with all the truth and the facts, no attorney would have been able to do anything within 24 hours or 48 hours or even a week. Look how long this case took. Everything is months out and it's intentionally being delayed, I feel like, and I kind of want it over with.
All right. Okay.
They know I'm a stellar worker. I know jobs before. I never been written up. This is the first job I've been written up at. 4.0 student, 3.6 college student, never missed a beat in college, like I was expressing to them. Never been late, and they were upset because I was using FMLA. Y'all don't know, I have 5 kids, so me being granted FMLA with bonding time is none of their business. I can be out. That's part of the law.
All right. So let's just go into that final section there, and thanks for that transition. So you talked to after the investigation into the sexual harassment complaint, you complained about your treatment by internal affairs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you complain to?
I believe HR.
Did you complain to internal affairs directly?
No, I sent to HR because I thought it would be conflict of interest. So I didn't want to cause any more problems going to my transgressors to make a complaint. So I went to HR.
Okay. And then you went to HR, and who did you speak with there?
I believe Mary Paul.
Okay. And did you complain to her about internal affairs?
I did, and then about Gladney.
Okay. What, if anything, did she advise you to do?
She advised me the EAP program, which again I mentioned before. I utilized. I saw that therapist. Everything that you guys know, The therapist knows. So every note taken that you guys have, they have the same notes.
So, but you're talking about employee assistance program,
Correct.
okay? But that's not discrimination, right?
No.
No, that's not starting an investigation for that. That's just an additional resource available to anybody, right?
Correct.
Okay, that has nothing to do necessarily with discrimination,
Correct.
right? Okay. Okay. So then, did she also advise you to take time off?
She did, but they knew at that meeting I didn't have any time on my books. I didn't have sick time, personal time, holiday, nothing to use.
When you say they knew at that meeting, who are you referring to?
HR, Mary Paul, and then you have Captain Holden in the room, which I thought I would have had privacy.
I appreciate that. Let me back that up because I think I forgot that too. So how did you meet with Miss Paul?
Through Captain Holden's computer screen.
Okay.
Even though I wanted to speak with her directly, but somehow they got a hold of her quick.
So I don't get this. So you asked for a conversation with Miss Paul, but why did it take place in Mr. Holden's office?
I initially went to Sergeant Baker's office and said, I don't feel, I didn't feel safe being here. I fear for my life. Didn't want to be around Gladney because, it was times he didn't work for Baker. When Baker's off, Sergeant Gladney is there running the course of it.
Okay, and I'm sorry. So on the 14th, there's threats on your life, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is we saw Mr. Gladney, but he was sitting down, right? About how tall is Mr. Gladney?
About 6 feet, 6'1", 6'2", something like that.
Okay, about how tall are you?
5'10".
How much does Mr. Gladney weigh, if you know?
He way bigger than me.
Okay. Do you know if he had any SWAT training?
Definitely military SWAT. He used to brag about how well he can shoot, how he got access to all kind of military things, and and he was a manager. He got access to people's addresses.
Okay, so you said you knew he was also in the military?
Yes.
Okay. And he told you to bring your toys. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What did that mean to you?
Meaning that he want to have a gunfight or something, like he want to shoot me.
Okay. And after you received those comments from, I guess they say that you, just one second, please. They say to you that you are, I'm sorry. What were we saying?
Glad about the phone call.
Okay. So when you were in this phone call with Mr. Gladney, I guess my question is did you take any action to protect yourself?
I immediately notified management via email.
Okay. And my first question is did they respond to this because they're a law enforcement agency, right?
Yes.
Did they respond to this as a law enforcement incident?
No, they didn't. I was off duty as a citizen, and they got to me the next morning. Nobody gave me an immediate response besides Gladney writing another additional email followed behind my complaint to make it look like, oh, I got it. I sent it up as a cocky thing, as an intimidation thing. I'll be forwarding this up to, is letting me know he got power and that he's not going to be terminated, whatever. So he said, I forwarded it up. I'm sending it to HR, this and that. I received, pretty much letting me know he received it and he's going to send it up himself.
Okay. I remember that. But so was there a police report ever written? No. Okay. Was Mr. Gladney ever cited?
No.
Okay. And based on your training experience as a law enforcement officer, do you believe that there was criminal conduct in what Mr. Gladney did?
Oh, yes.
Did you tell that to the agency?
I did. Smoot notified me the next morning. He promised, y'all listen to the video, he promised that nothing, no actions or nothing would backfire on me, nothing would happen to me, and it still did.
Okay. But again, I just want to focus, the law enforcement agency did not treat this incident of your supervisor calling you nigger and threatening to assault you as a criminal act.
Correct.
Okay. On the 10-day suspension that Mr. Gladney received, do you believe that that was commensurate with the normal disciplinary policies of the, I'm going to rephrase that. Do you believe that Mr. Gladney's 10-day suspension was normal for his conduct?
No, definitely not.
Why not?
It's you threatening, you use racial. It's like there's other supervisors who were either demoted or at least I've seen a couple of supervisors who said the wrong things and they were shot from a captain all the way down to a regular deputy.
Can you say what you mean by wrong things?
You know, anything like inappropriate, like if it was either any derogatory statements made.
Okay, and these are just words.
Correct.
Okay. How about a threat?
Threat that normally the way he threatened me, he called me for once. You can look at the recording. My stuff started at 0 seconds, and he said that I called him. If you look at it, he called me after I sent him that text message.
About the 0 and 4?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He took highly offense to that and insinuated as if I called him an Uncle Tom, which I never stated or called him that.
So that's what that text message that we went through with him, that's the text message that then prompted him to call you and start using the tone of voice that we heard.
Correct. And that was not about no sexual harassment. It was about him trying to advocate for Sergeant Pollock when Sergeant Pollock denied me to rescind my sick time because my son was sick prior to that incident. And I end up said, you know what, I'm gonna just come in. I found somebody to get him. That's what that was about. He said it was about sexual harassment. It wasn't. That's why I said is that's why
hold on.
Sergeant
So
Pollock.
this is 100 here. Is this the text you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I voted you in twice as president and got a lot of other people to do the same because we put our trust in you. You are now 0-4 in all my cases, and you watch them destroy me despite you already knowing the history of this agency. Is that you already knowing the history of this agency? What is that?
It's letting him know you told me and you also aware of race things going on. So why, you knowing the history of this agency, would you try to advocate for a supervisor you know is out to get me?
Okay. Then you say you allowed me to sit up to speak with Sergeant Pollock knowing he doesn't like me when all you could have done was answer the phone. What did that mean?
I called him a few times, not a lot like he said, and I called him, but when this thing, communication between me and Sergeant Pollock transpired, now he's available to advocate for Sergeant Pollock, but not for me when I was calling your phone.
I got it. Sergeant Pollock is what race?
He's white.
Okay. You helping them destroy me. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. You've been spinning me this entire time, having me believe the attorneys were in the loop for a harassment lawsuit. Do you see that?
Yes.
What did that mean?
He had me believe, so after that incident where they took my arrest powers and I made a complaint about the Barbie doll being in my mailbox, I never knew up until this hearing that that Gladney was a part of the joke and that it was passed on. I never knew any of that until this hearing.
So he was conflicted about the joke, right?
Yeah, he was also telling me that it was racist. So he made me believe that it was a racist thing going on when he knew about it this entire time, which I was actually emotional when he was talking the other day, had me believe that I'm being mistreated, being racially discriminated against, which those other things don't take away from how Byers mistreated me and Salter mistreated me. But he had me believe when he did that transfer, and he had me think it was the agency and it was him who raised the issue to get me transferred. So in his sergeant's role, you know, but that part is that you spending me this entire time. The attorneys, he told me that there was a race discrimination, harassment lawsuit and discrimination lawsuit pending with the, with the counsel for for the union.
Okay, so at this time you believe that he was spinning you with regard to a harassment lawsuit, right?
Yep, and I didn't realize that he was lying to me the entire time because I ended up calling the attorney office myself. And they said, I'm not sure why Gladney told you that. He told me that he was waiting on recordings from the sheriff department. He was waiting on the recording from the the incident where I spoke with investigator Stiff. He had me believe that, so the department was all in cahoots with Gladney to intentionally make the 300-day expire, so I can file a complaint.
Okay, did you also, is this the same recording of Mr. Stiff's that you requested and still don't have?
Right.
Okay, so that again, that would be a third recording that would be helpful to this case, but you don't have.
Correct.
Okay. So, and it's fair to say that you knew that Mr. Gladney was spinning you at this time, but you've also learned that Mr. Gladney was also spinning you in more ways that you didn't know that.
Yeah, but right? This hearing, I realized he was behind everything.
Okay.
And this, as you can see, this had nothing to do with sexual harassment. This is Sergeant Pollock with me trying to rescind my sick time.
Okay. So, he tried to cut me off, his tone and everything. This is all about Mr. Pollock. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. Conflict of interest at its best and things I trusted you with as a union member. The president of the union is going against me. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody that knows me and you can all relate when it comes to President Gladney. You've changed and is not the same person anymore. Our unions suck. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then he says, stop texting me like bitch, you fuck not me. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you're saying based on the call, the recording of the call, he called you.
Yes, he called me right after that message. And it had nothing to do with sexual harassment.
Okay.
And he said that numerous times.
And before we get to that, do you, in that telephone call, there is questions about, are you calling him an Uncle Tom? Do you recall that?
Never once. I was confused when he called me and he questioned me about that. He said, you calling me Uncle Tom? Like, where did I say you was Uncle Tom?
And is that referring to this text message, you believe?
Correct. It is referring to the text message.
Okay. So you never said the word Uncle Tom. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. But based on, for example, this sentence here, you have been spinning me this entire time, having me believe the attorneys were in loop for a harassment lawsuit. Do you see that?
Yes.
Can you explain to me how that's Uncle Tom behavior?
It's not.
Okay. And then how about I trusted you with, as a member, the president of the union is going against me. Everybody that knows me and you can all relate when it comes to President Gladney. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is that calling him an Uncle Tom?
It's not.
Okay. And then you've changed and is not the same person anymore. Our union sucked. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you call him an Uncle Tom there?
I didn't. And the reason for that statement wasn't nothing to do with Uncle Tom. It was simply because once they made him a supervisor and he the union president, he changed. So it kind of like he lost his sense of protecting his members when he became a union president. And I believe that the sheriff department intentionally put him in that spot as a supervisor to prevent the agency from being sued. That was a you protecting the supervisor and you also protecting the members. And you a supervisor. And no agency, I never heard of this agency. My brother worked for NPD. They don't even got that at NPD. This is the first time I ever heard of a union president being a supervisor. Whose side are you supposed to take?
Who is, I get that in here, but who, so this is the only statement upon which Mr. Gladney can base you calling him an Uncle Tom. Is that fair?
I believe so.
Okay. What does Uncle Tom mean?
I guess, to be honest, in my generation, we don't ever use Uncle Tom. But I guess Uncle Tom, in my opinion, would be someone like he described, working, I guess, being a slave or something, or working for the white man, I guess. However, what the things he used, I guess his interpretation, when he put it into that context, that's his version and opinion of Uncle Tom.
Okay, so accepting Mr. Gladney's definition of Uncle Tom, and his asking you if you were calling him Uncle Tom, do you believe that he interpreted this as you calling him an Uncle Tom?
I believe so.
Okay.
And me being a straightforward person, I would have just called him Uncle Tom if that was the case. Everybody know me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not afraid of speaking my mind or being vocal.
Right.
But I definitely fear for my safety though from him.
Well, because I guess my question is an important characteristic of an Uncle Tom, as far as I understand it, is that an Uncle Tom is black. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So do you single out Mr. Gladney in any way for being black here?
No.
Is there any subtle language that we might that might be a code for black in here?
No. I try to write as best as I could without using any harsh words.
Okay, but so the indication says, and again, you don't say, I trusted you with as a member. The president of the union is going against me. Did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't say the black president of the union is going against me, right?
Right.
Okay. So, I understood you to say that after you filed the bullying complaint, the tone, your behavior, employment conditions changed, right?
Yes.
Okay. How about after this conversation with, or after Mr. Gladney called you back, called you a nigger, and threatened to assault you?
It was very bad. It was. I already knew it was like he said, you're fucked, not me. He made that clear, but he been telling me I was fucked a long time ago.
Before the sexual harassment suit?
Before the sexual harassment, he told me I was fucked. He told me the job. He pretty much told me they was out to get me. Even Sergeant Thick, he's retired now. He told me in 2019 the agency going to find any way to get rid of you and Deputy Lazama. Guess who terminated for sexual harassment? Myself and Deputy Lazama. They didn't like Deputy Lazama. They don't like me, and we both are minorities.
Okay.
I knew the termination was coming. That's why I was very thorough in by the books and try to stay out the way and following all directions. Insubordination to them, once you can make a complaint or ask for a request a higher ranking supervisor, which I thought was the best option, we can't get a good dialogue. So can we get somebody else to mediate or intervene so we can get a better understanding? And that's still, I got hit with insubordination. So you raise up, hey, can I request for a supervisor? A higher ranking supervisor, guess what? You're going to get hit with an insubordination.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's just pause for 1 second here. We'll see where we're at. Okay.